Hello, and welcome to another episode of Winning Where It Matters. My name is Kyei Amoako, and it's a pleasure to have you join me once again. This past Friday, we had the maiden edition of Connecting on Purpose, a networking event that brought people together for real connection, conversations, and a fireside chat with Dr. Chris McAlister. It was a phenomenal event. The energy in the room was amazing. And I want to thank everybody that was able to join us in person for this event. I also want to thank Dr. McAlister for his practical insights and all the wisdom that he shared with us. It sparked a lot of reflection. And so today, I want to share some of my takeaways. There were lots of takeaways, but I want to share three takeaways. The conversation was focused around leading yourself while leading others. And so here are three things that I took away from the conversation. Number one, lead for impact and not for validation. Chris used a bottle metaphor where he talked about you could either walk around and ask people to fill your bottle, or you could fill your bottle and go around and pour into others. Going around pouring into others, that's leading for impact. Asking people to fill your bottle, that's leading for validation. And that's leading for validation sometimes shows up with leaders asking people, tell them they're great, they're looking for people to sing their praises, versus leading for impact, where the leader deepens their own self awareness and built clarity about who they are so then they could bring other people along. So that was a very powerful mental picture that I took away from the conversation. Lead for impact and not for validation. And he talked also about around the same concept, leadership starting with who you are and not what you do. And so just having that clarity about who you are um, helps you fill your bottle so you could pour into others. The second takeaway was another metaphor, and this time it was a tree metaphor, and it was around the idea of identity, doing, and relating. And the way he talked about that is when you see a tree, it always has a trunk, it has roots, and it has fruit. And he describes the trunk of the tree as what you do, the fruit being how we relate, and the root being identity. And he further talks about the fact that most of the time we focus on the fruit and the trunk. We focus on what we do and how we relate, and not as much on the root, but it all starts with the root. It all starts with the root. So he talks about leaders need identity rituals, the things that you do that fill your bottle. And it's different for different people, but he encourages us to find that thing that works for you. It could be reflection, it could be meditation, it could be prayer, it could be binge watching Netflix action movies, whatever it is that fills you up. That whatever it is that fills you up. For some people, it's honest conversations with trusted advisors. For some people, it's coaching. For some people, it's reading. But that thing that you do that fills you up, your identity ritual, the thing that reminds you of who you are as a leader. Because he says, without strong roots, we end up performing for approval instead of leading for impact. The third takeaway was this framework of faith, hope, and love. And it comes from his new book, Make Culture Your Edge. And he talks about these three ideas being pillars of great cultures. Many of us may have heard these words: faith, hope, love, probably at weddings. It comes from the book of Corinthians in the Bible. But he traces it back to the time of the Greeks, an idea that starts that far back, that has endured. And I, like many of you, may have seen that as a wedding, as a Christian idea, but it's an idea that transcends a religion, and it applies both at home, at work, and in the community. So, faith, he describes as the it's communicating a clear vision. People want something to believe in. So, in building a culture, a leader has the job of creating and communicating a clear, compelling vision that gives people something to believe in, and that's the faith piece. And then hope is what we do in response to that compelling vision. And he described love as the depth of our relationships, how we treat each other, how we support each other, how we are there for one another. That's a love. And so, for any and every culture, faith, hope, love creates the foundational elements. And as I thought about it, and as I brought it all together, for me, leading for impact became very, very clear that leading for impact starts with you. It starts with you, as in having a secure identity. And your identity rituals are super important in making sure your roots are going deeper. And when the identity is secure, you lead with clarity, you develop meaningful relationships, and you're able to inspire people with faith, hope, and love. Chris is an awesome man. And if you want to hear and learn more from Chris, go to siteshift.com. SIGHT shift.com. Also, at the event on Friday, I introduced 5 new books, and I'm going to be talking about those books in future episodes. I'll also be sharing pictures from the event on LinkedIn and on Instagram. So if we're connected there, keep an eye out. If you like this episode, please hit the like button, share it with people in your network, and if you've not subscribed, please do so and hit the notification bell. I believe in you, and I hope you believe in yourself too. I'll see you on the next one.